Where is this phone? This socket is not good at No, how will I plug my phone? It's not okay. You're using my plug your phone down. Okay, start your video. Yeah, I know, I'll plug down. Nice. You know, there was curious here.
Yeah, Tige. I think set up. Wow.
làjá ọmọ oníkòyí ìkòyí ẹ̀ṣọ́ mi pélé mọ́ lójú ogun.
Good evening, wonderful people. Thank you for joining this stream. I promise you, we are going to have an exciting time. My name is Tunde Kelani, and with me is my brother, DJ. DJ. Oh, yeah. Okay, DJ.
Good evening to everybody that is joining us on this program.
Yes, so we're going straight away, and I'm just back. I came from Ghana with Kunle Afolayan and his team of Anikulapo the series, filming all the way in Ghana. Incredible hard work, but it's worth every sweat on that production. And that's another for our nascent Nollywood industry, because we have reached out. Kunle Afolayan has the vision, and he's reached out all over Africa. And in this case, he has collaborated with the Ghanaian, the National Film Authority, to take part and to collaborate on this project. It's a first of its sort. And I can assure you, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. We traveled the exotic locations like the Elmina Castle, which was the last shooting, and the production ended on the beach there, right far into the night, an incredible journey. And I take this opportunity to pay tribute to the visionary Kunle Afolayan and his team. And he has drawn from Africa. His cinematographer Michael Downey from South Africa, and he has a cast even from Portugal, Lisbon, and all others, from Africa, reaching out to the rest of Africa. I think this is the way the African cinema will eventually go. And now, tonight, my name is Tunde Kelani. Well, I'm a filmmaker. Started my career decades and decades ago, and I'm pleased to meet you, wonderful people, wonderful audience on this live stream. And Deji, Adesanya is here. Can you introduce yourself, Deji?
Okay. Yeah, Deji Adesanya. I grew up in Kano. Went to Oshobo Grammar School. Before, thereafter, Federal School of Science, traveling abroad, studied film and TV production at Cambridge College in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, and then Brooks Institute in Santa Barbara, California. And thereafter, came back to Nigeria and joined East West as a pioneer staff. Well, then it was TSOS. That was 1981. And then I resigned, and my brother and I formed a production.
Hey, Deji, sorry. And I think you should hold some of that, because we have a set of questions, and you're already answering the question.
Oh, okay, I'm going too fast.
Go straight to the question. And what is our first question?
Okay. Yeah, what inspired me to become a filmmaker?
What inspired me, Tunde Kelani, to be a filmmaker? At the beginning of when I was young, let's start from the secondary school. I didn't know what was going to be making films. I didn't even know what was called cinematography. I was just interested in photography. I mean, since I held the camera in my hand, it blew my mind. This tool, this black box, can freeze a moment which can be preserved. So I didn't look back. Throughout my secondary school experience, I was practically investing my time and money in photography. And my friend, Chukwemeka, we became partners, and later we had our own set of chemicals, and we were processing our films before we left secondary school. I had bought about 4 cameras from my first year in secondary school and changed. And in my final year at the Abeokuta Grammar School, I bought what was a semi-professional camera. It was called the Hadina 35X. Anyway, I left secondary school and I told my father I wanted to just go on and be a photographer. He was curious and he said, look, what else would you have done? I said, I would like to be a journalist. And my father laughed and said, journalist, and I said, nobody can harm a journalist. Only to find out how naive I was when Diligua was murdered and blown up in his home. So in any case, photography, I was apprentice, Dr. Kubanji Associates. Later, I've seen a lot of films that came into Lagos, so I suddenly didn't want stills anymore. I wanted motion pictures. So like Deji said, on September 20, 1970, I was employed as a film camera trainee at the former Western Nigerian Television, and believe me sincerely, I was so excited to be there because all the cameras that I had dreamt of now, they are within my reach. I didn't want to close and go home. I was enjoying myself. A few years later, because inspired by the films that I saw in the cinemas in Lagos, I suddenly didn't want to do television anymore because my work was just in a tiny box. But it's nothing like the big pictures, that I saw in all those cinemas in Lagos. So I started to say, I changed from Western Nigerian Television to NBC TV, Victoria Land, Lagos. I was able to save money, so I went to London Film School for 2 years. And when I came back, I worked a bit more in television and quit. I resigned and became independent filmmaker. So that's how I became a filmmaker. So now, Deji, I think it's your turn now. You can be more detailed. So what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Okay, yes. All right, thank you, Chike. Well, my own journey was a little bit different. In fact, initially, I didn't even know what I wanted to do, to be quite honest. But what I do know is that, like I said, I grew up in Kano, and in those days, Ogunde and his troupe will come to Kano to come and play, perform. Now, the interesting thing was that Ogunde, before the show, later that night, will stop by at our house. Well, at that time, my parents were still the tenants in the house. They didn't have, their own house then. And one of our co-tenants was also from the same town as Ogunde. So the cast will go about town, in their vehicles with the public address system and, to promote, the evening show. And then we will now go to the hall, wherever the play was going to come up at night. We will help them to set up, chairs and props and whatever. Of course, the reason behind this was that so that I would get a free ticket to the show at night. And it was not only a free ticket, I will get a ringside seat. We will sit down on the floor, and of course, get carried, the way. It was always an experience to look forward to. And then thereafter, I went to Oshobo Grammar School for secondary school, and you all know the history of Oshobo. Every month, once in a month, the likes of Queen Adejobi, Ola Ogmola, Tro Ladipo would come and perform for us. Theater, do shows for us at Oshobo Grammar School. And of course, there is Oshun Oshobo, the annual Oshun. So we'll get a 1-week holiday at school, and we'll go with my friends, and it was always something to look for. So I'm sure all of this must have influenced, me in the latter years. But interestingly, I did the sciences because one of my teachers in Chukwu Brown School said, well, those who do art subjects will probably end up as teachers. And I didn't want to become a teacher. So I opted for the sciences, not knowing that I wasn't really a science student. In fact, I went as far as Federal School of Science and did my A-levels. But it was at the Federal School of Science, at that time, that the turning point came, because there was a cinema called Plaza Cinema, just about 5 minutes walk away from my school. So rather than go to classes, I would go and watch, movies, American movies, the cowboy films, all kinds. I remember in particular, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, those trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, films, and The Graduate, movies like that were really touching to me. But in particular, I watched one of those westerns, and one of my favorite actors there, I think his name was Eli Wallach. I remember he had been shot, and died, and then in another film, and of course, the American films. I mean, it looks so real, And then another film, I now saw him. I said, but this guy already been, killed now. What happened? Of course, I now realize that, oh, okay, the film trick. So I've always, been curious about how they make films. So it was not surprising that, when I traveled out of the country, rather than pursue sciences, I said, got A-levels in, sciences, I now opted, for photography. In fact, I started with photography because in the first year, everybody, it's common to all the students, you have to do photography, and then you now begin to specialize from your second year. So basically, that's my journey to the world of, make believe that all film.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Now I'm going to, show my own turning point, because I've seen almost every film that came into Lagos, and Central Cinema, Odeon, Roxy, Plaza, and all that. So when I was in television in Ibadan, it was about this time that this film was released. No, oh, sorry, wrong picture. But that's Deji working. But what changed my mind was this film, The Kongi's Harvest. And Kongi's Harvest, that's the first film that I saw Nigerians on the screen. And these are not ordinary Nigerian, because it paraded the cast, the cast I could identify with. Professor Sholishenka played Kongi himself, although Prof said the actor that he has selected did not arrive in time, and that's why he took on the role himself. But all our great uncles were in that film, like Rashid Onikoyi, Banjo Sholaru, and of course, our great uncle who returned from America then, and was he acted with Ronald Reagan during his career abroad. And Uncle Deji, can you remind me?
That will probably be Orlando Martins, if I'm not mistaken.
Uncle Orlando Martins. It just flew out of my head. I am one of the people who actually met him physically when he was alive. He was undeterred in WNTV, WNBS. Wow. And I saw all these wonderful, wonderful talents on the screen, and they are Nigerians like me. So I said, no, I'm not doing television again. I'm just going to go into filmmaking. And I knew what kind of film I was going to be making. And so I'm one of the lucky people who set out and did exactly what I had wanted to do since I was young. Please don't leave this to us. I'm expecting your comments, and I haven't received the chat. Let's chat. Send your opinion and your angle so we can discuss this. Deji, I think we should go to our second question that is set for us. And the question is, tell us about the early days of Nollywood. All along, we have been in television and all that. We have made films. So what triggered the phenomenon that we now know as Nollywood? At what point you realize that
well, first of
you
all,
are no longer in television?
the word the word Nollywood, it's a sensitive word, Initially, in fact, I must confess, I did never wanted to associate with that word Nollywood, because in the early days, Nollywood was synonymous with low quality, low, productions, But of course, Nollywood has come to stay, and Nollywood has come a long way. But yes, initially, as we all know, living in bondage was what could be said, even though there have been other films, but the one that really, really, how do you say it, gave back to Hollywood in the popular balance, yes, will be living in bondage. And of course, we all know the history. It was all about money. At that time, we were making celluloid films, and you, of course, were a part of that. Because I remember when I came back, in fact, we met,
Well, I think we lost Deji there, but while he joins us, I want to recognize Chosin Mike TV. Thanks for joining us on this stream, and I'm also expecting many others. So the question we have now is, tell us about the early days of Nollywood. Okay, Deji, you are back. You are back. We lost you temporarily, but you are back. So Okay, I think we lost DJ again, but let me take over from there. Okay, thank you. Choosing Mike, I think you are trying to. Okay, thank you, Deji. Let me just take over. Let me take over from there. Yes, I can hear you. Don't worry. Let me take over from this point. You have made valuable points. So I just wanted to say, in answering that question too, tell us about the. Okay. Okay, let me just continue. All right. So in the early days of what was to be called Nollywood, it didn't start like that, because when we were making films, and then in 1985 or thereabout, the government introduced structural adjustment program (SAP), and what it meant at that time was the naira was devalued. The process of making films involved, you mentioned celluloid. That is, it was analog, and it was a process that involved making films, shooting film. But the downside of it is that every production, every means of production came from abroad. So we ordered the film from abroad. Even if we finished shooting the film, everything had to go back abroad. So it relied on foreign exchange. And film was not anything new, because in television at that time, before video, we were shooting on 16 in all our television stations, and we had a film laboratory installed in the premises. So everything that has to do with news, documentary, drama inserts, conferences, and things like that the television could not go out of the studio. So the film department, we would go out and shoot film every day. But commercial films in cinema was something different. And like the poster that I saw you, Uncle Francis Adley produced Kongi's Harvest with his film company Kapeni, and I saw this film, and sooner or later the process, the cinema making of films started at that point. From Dr. Olabalogun came back from abroad and did his own film Alpha. But what was a trailblazer that took the audience along was when he produced Ajani Ogun and starred Adeyemi Afolayan, Adelove, the father to our ambassador Kunle Afolayan today. He had started far away then because he was born into the business. And after that, he went along to produce, oh my God, he went along to produce his own film, Ijaminira. And after that, yes, Deji, trying to tell me something. Deji, maybe you unmute yourself. You probably have muted yourself. So I think you should unmute yourself. I think you should unmute yourself. Can you hear me? Okay, Deji, while we are trying to figure that out, let me just continue. So in any case, so everybody from the Yoruba traveling theater tradition caught on this new storytelling, and it wasn't long before Yuba Togunde started his series, the Aye series. And after that, Baba Salah, Moses Olaya made Orumoru, and those were in 35 mm. But on the other side, we shot it was now ambition for the Yoruba traveling theater to want to produce a film. So the floodgate was open. So Adebayo Salami and his own troupe, we made Omo Orokan and Eriokan and all those films. And then Bayo Benton made Ireke Onibudo. In short, I believe I must have, in my capacity as a cinematographer or DOP, must have shot about 20 of those films. Deji, can you hear me? Because you should tell us about your film, Vigilante. Hello, DJ. Meanwhile, Caleb, Anu, thank you for joining this film. Arewa, I can see Arewa Media World. Welcome among me to the stream. And then Bolaji Ladipo Ajayi. Bolaji, my friend and partner for life. Thank you for joining us this evening. And keep it coming. Secrets and Wellness Nigeria Limited. Thank you for joining this stream. This is just the beginning of a great show coming your way. This is just the beginning, and we will move on. Now, I think we should go to question number 3. Has storytelling in Nollywood changed over the years? By the way, I got the point when Deji touched on the fact that the name Nollywood didn't go well at the beginning. Well, let me tell you, because of SAP, none of us could continue to make films because we didn't have the foreign exchange because of the Naira that was terribly devalued. So I can give an example by what happened to our Uncle Francis Ladele. At that time, he was making a film that was called The Eye of Life. And he had budgeted to make this film at 3-to-1. That is $1 exchanging 3 Naira was exchanging to $1. And so he brought the crew together from US and Nigeria, and they started this production. I think it was in Oyo. But by the time they got to the second week of the production, Naira had gone to 8 to 1. Naira was changing at 8 Naira to $1. And by the time they got to when third and fourth week to finish the film, Naira had gone even worse than that at 25 to 1. And what it meant is that they had spent their production money, the post-production money, they had spent it during production. And so the film never came out. And so after that, no one attempted to make a film. But something was already happening on technology, because even when I came back from London Film School in 1978, the first set of electronic news gathering that is using video to replace what film was doing was already on the stations. And so it was a matter of time before smart marketers decided they were importing VHS movies. And then they tried it, NEC, and some others were quick enough to use consumer VHS to go and shoot their own story. So before you know, everybody started to use video, consumer video, to make films. And it came from all parts of the country, East, West, South, Lagos, and the North started to join later. So a new set of distributors came on, the marketers in Idumota, Eweka Road, and Surulere took over practically the young industry that was going up. They were funding most of these productions, which were cheap, and they were distributing and marketing them. So, in other words, before you knew what was happening, everybody wanted to start making the movies. So for us professionals who are using film previously, it was a decision. Is that the end of our career, or do we appropriate the technology and continue telling our stories? I was one of those who appropriated the technology. What I mean by that is to start from what I considered was technically superior, even if it is VHS, although we did choose Super VHS. And at that time, we were just starting mainframe, and our first production was Tioluwanide, followed by Koshegbe. And then we got to know the marketers, who... Anyway, why I'm telling you that story, that's an important story that is even easily overlooked. And that the role that Mnet played, Mnet started a project that was called New Direction. And my friend Richard Green came from South Africa, to kick this off by assembling film producers, to introduce and fund what was going to be one movie. I think the budget was something like $100,000 or something. But Touch Nigerians, what he did was he gave us the opportunity to two writers and two directors. We made two films, Twins of the Flame Forest and A Place Called Home. A Place Called Home was directed by Mahmood Ali Balogun, and Odion Agbo directed the second movie. And my friend, may so rest in peace, Lord Weaver, was producing for this series. And believe me, it gave us the opportunity because of the Mnet intervention at that time, because it came with a lot of capacity building, because we had seminars. We went to Dakar, to meet all other African filmmakers, especially in West Africa, and we hung out for a week. We made short films. There were sessions for producers, directors, and that is another side of it. And it's interesting because what will happen later, of course, is the channels. The Mnet channels will now come on board. I remember when African Magic, was introduced, and our friends Amida came from South Africa, and at that time they were supposed to do only 5 hours a day. Soon, especially the Yoruba channel, later it was increased to 18 hours. And I can imagine now how all those channels today have become really, really into their own. And so another distribution system had entered and gave opportunity to filmmakers, to continue to express themselves. Okay, let's see how Deji is doing. Deji, can you hear me now? Is it possible? Okay. Now, you remember when the home videos came, can you say something about that? Let me see if we can get you on picture at this time. No, we still have not been able to place you. Hang on. I'm trying to place you because we lost that. So I'm trying to get you on. Okay. You are still on guest one, so that should be okay. I don't know why we are not getting you on picture, but let me just see again. Please, my amazing guests, please just give us a minute to sort this out. All right. So wait a minute. I will just put Deji, you are back. Please go on. You are back. So sorry, my amazing guests, for this lapse. Oh, yeah, continue. You were telling us about the early days of Nollywood when all the videos started
Yes.
to.
Yes. Well, it was a boom era, but for me, you know what that period reminded me? Reminded me of, the evolution of the American industry as well. In those days we had what they call the B movies, whereby remember that popular producer Roger Corman, he will make films in 7 days, 10 days, a feature-length film. Whereas the studios, the Paramount Pictures and Columbia Pictures, of course, they will make the standard Hollywood films. But then the B movies also had, their own audience, a large audience for that matter. And even some of the stars later on graduated from B movies, to, the A list, so to say. So for me, it's just like history repeating itself, that is that evolution, that process. But it was a boom time. But still, I remember that you, even though, yes, you did shoot on video then, but your production told us that it is not so much the fact that you are shooting on a video that really matters, but that expertise, that technical, input. Those Yoruba, filmmakers and Igbo, they didn't have that, and that made the world of difference.
Now, wait. We can hear you, please.
Okay.
Meanwhile, while you were on, a lot more people have joined the stream, and Oluwagbenga Widapo, thank you very much for joining the stream, and Olalere Babatunde, thank you for coming, and Eniola Alawiye, thank you for being on this stream. You are all welcome. Please, you can type, you can send your comments, and I can see. Thank you very much. A lot of compliments coming our way, and this is just the beginning, and promise you this is going to be regular, and as we go along, you're going to have a great time. And now, I just wanted to, suddenly the memories keep coming back, and I want to remember the early days when one time Zebi Jiro, Amaka Igwe, Memun Adebalogun, Tunde Bamishigbin, everybody, we were together as usual movie producers. So what had happened at that time is that it has harmonized, us. We are all in our different ways doing the same thing, that is contributing to what was going to be Nollywood. It wasn't Nollywood at first until Martin Stainglass wrote that article and mentioned Nollywood for the first time. For me, also, I was really upset because I thought that our industry should not have been anything wood, and apparently fashioned apparently fashioned by America, Hollywood, and that is what they could say. They just named us Nollywood and Nollywood. I was really upset about it. But it's a name.
And don't forget the Indian version too was called Bollywood.
So later it became a name just like Nigeria. And today, whether we like it or not, within, our unity in diversity, we have a lot of diversity in our culture, in our storytelling and everything. And what particularly became the strongest point why Nollywood, the name and the products became popular, was that it reflected more or less our own storytelling and our circumstances and our stories. And in concept of Nollywood, which is just a parent name for every creative endeavors in the film industry in Nigeria, it's just a name. Under it, you can have the other Nollywood, the next Nollywood, the new Nollywood, and so on, to identify various strains of Nollywood. And it's, for the first, this have reflected, the diversity in Nigeria, and there's audience for anything that was produced. Horror, blood-sucking, magic, flying in, flying out, and spectaculars, and then the epics, and of course the modern films in English, but particularly the Yorubas use essentially Yoruba, and I tracked that at a time I was buying 20 of the best films that came out, and realized how it climbed, until, anyway, that is the beginning of Nollywood, whether you like it or not, but it's come to stay, and it has become a brand and soft diplomacy for our country, Nigeria, that only it's been debated whether the Nollywood filmmaking can be exported to anywhere else in Africa. I doubt it, because there's something about the Nigerian, our spirit, our resilience, our creativity coming together, and never say, that is what propelled the popularity of our industry. And today, you could even see that diversity continues to today. You can see the language films coming strong, north, southwest, but English dominates when you come more south. But my hope is that we will give our own culture, language, we should reflect more in our storytelling, because we have not even started to tell the authentic African stories. So for me, this is, the way I operate is that most of my works, of course, I work in Yoruba language, culture, literature, history, archiving, and I make films that are socially, politically relevant, because you have to have a mix. And so everybody, have their own directions, and more importantly, gives everybody room and the opportunity to express themselves. That's what is great about Nollywood. We still got a couple of questions left, and so I think we should look at, so far we've gone to question 3, and time is flying. Let's see what question 2, what is question 3? Has storytelling in Nollywood changed over the years? Your guess is as good as mine. Deji, what do you want to say about this? Has storytelling in Nollywood changed over the years?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You remember in those early days, it was more about rituals, and stuff like that. Again, for me, it was still just following the Hollywood pattern, where they called it formula films. Then, if you did a film that was very popular, in those days, then all the other studios, the let's say Paramount Pictures came up with the box office hit. Before you know it, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, 21st Century Fox, they will come up with a similar story, lines. Just change maybe the location and then the stars, but essentially it was still the same storyline. And then, of course, with time, we moved away from rituals. We now had the violent films. Then you had the romance films, which brought Genevieve, Ramsey Noah, and all of that set of people, into prominence. So that is the way, the movies work. So, but now the Hollywood has gone on to take on, more contemporary, stories, and like I said, we now have, how do you say, global, platforms, films that, can compete, internationally. So I think it's just part of that, evolution, like I said.
Yes, thank you. Meanwhile, Larry Lupono said this is an insightful session. It is heartwarming to hear these stories that one has read. So we have so many times in books and in Nollywood. Thank you, Larry. Thanks for joining the stream. Oluwatomilola Adewi said, this is amazing to watch. It is great to hear the history of Nollywood. Well, maybe this is our own account. This is from our own perspective. There are so many perspectives, opinions about this. But one thing I wanted to remember is the success of Nollywood is as a result of the technology which has placed tremendous power into the lap of everyone who has a story to tell. And that, for me, has changed the fortunes of Nollywood. Now, Nollywood no longer has an excuse because we have access to modern digital filmmaking tools, which are started to show in the overall production level. I think by this time we have moving away from quantity, and we are placing, premium on quality and creativity. And the new streaming platforms like Netflix and the others, of course, have a standard which we are keeping. And not only that, there's been a capacity building. So many film schools, in fact, YouTube also, free courses and everything. So the technology has aided how Nollywood has changed. And this trend, I suppose, will continue because the rate that the technology is coming in is unbelievable. Now that if you are not up to date, in 2 months, you could drop off and become obsolete. So what I'm saying in essence is that there's now opportunity for anyone who wants to tell a story that you can find the tools to fuel your creativity. So, Deji, thank you. Let us move to, in fact, one thing that I wanted to ask you, Deji, is tell us about your production, your Vigilante, because that is, sorry, many people will not know that you actually made that wonderful film at that time and the challenges that you faced at that time. So tell us about your film, Vigilante, which you worked together with your brother, Olabi Adesanya.
Right. Yes, take care. Well, it was really a challenging film to make, like you said. At that time, just like what we are going through now, when the military took over, especially when Babangida came in and then decided to liberalize the foreign exchange, regime. The exchange rate went, boom, from 1 to 4 to 1 to 12, and we were, committed to making, the film. So, can you hear me, TK?
Yeah, go on, please go on.
Oh, okay. Yes. So we, been able to convince, parents to, assist us with funding, but the money was not enough. We had family, friends, still,
Hey, Deji, I think you're hanging. Okay, let me take over until we get Deji back. I worked on Vigilante, which was produced by Deji Adesanya and Falabi Adesanya, the A brothers at that time. We shot the film in 16 mil, and my heart sank when I read the script, because I can assure you 75% of this story took place at night. And the problem with technology at that time is we have to manage whatever we could get. And today, I've not been able to forgive Falabi Adesanya and the Adesanya for that film. He gave us the greatest challenge of our lives, because we are using an RE16. And not only were we using the RE16 with a lens, I think it was the Zeiss lens. And this lens is a zoom lens that is 10 mm, what we call technically 10 mm to 100 mm. But it was not fast, because I think the maximum aperture of it, forgive me for being technical, was something like 2.8. We didn't have the light that could do it. Anyway, somehow we managed to make Vigilante. It was one of the hardest, most challenging films that I teamed up with you. And you remember the schedule that you kept for 3 days. I think we didn't sleep until I broke down completely and my mouth was swollen and everything. Can you remember at all? Oh, Deji, you can't hear me. Oh, what a shame. Anyway, there are many like that, because we are playing the role of pioneers. Now, let's quickly look at question 4 and see what we can do with this. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing Nollywood today? Wow. I wish the public can contribute in this. To answer this, I mean, it would be different strokes for different people.
For different folks.
For different folks. In my own opinion, I think that the problems that we still have have been multiplied in some sense, because it is true that perhaps there has been the return of cinemas. We have the cinemas coming back. But more importantly, these are cinemas essentially in the cities and definitely looking like it's for the elite. And from the report that was released 2 years ago by Film One, it clearly showed that we still have we are just in the triangle, we are still 1/3. That's a whole 2/3 of Nigerians that have no access to cinemas. And the cinemas today are different. It doesn't sit as many people, because in those days when we hawked our films, carried the film about for national theater to all the major cities, traveling around, I think that model has reduced. And what we now have is in these special cinemas, and Nigerians occasionally we spark into life, especially with the big films, side by side with Hollywood. But Hollywood is still Hollywood because they are dominant, unless we all give it our best, find the funding and join the commercial. If the cinema is what you prefer to do, a lot of people now just make their films for the streaming platforms, and more people are now streaming directly on YouTube. So, in fact, the concept of filmmaking and storytelling has changed a lot, because suddenly it has become very popular, in the sense that the availability of technology has even given more people the opportunity to engage with audiences. Some just make short form, 10-minute skits, of all types, drama, particularly comedy. And perhaps we should thank them, because in these times, we need the therapy to just laugh, just keep laughing, whatever happens. That's what I see that's going, and Nigeria too. I remember in the days of Nollywood, we traveled out. We were invited to festivals when we began to record some quality in our work. And today, I'm particularly happy that Nigeria features in prominent film festivals now, almost globally. But we still have a long, long way to go. I think we should be more humble, in the sense that I think before, I thought that 50 years will catch up with the West. But now I think if you see the trailers coming out of Apple TV now, believe me sincerely, I think they are 500 years ahead of us now. So it's a challenge, and we still have to engage with our own authentic stories rather than be a copy of Hollywood or any other wood. All right, Deji. So
yes,
quickly.
Yes, thank you, TK. Yeah, that remains the biggest challenge, funding, in terms of production, and even the distribution and exhibition. Like you said, now you have Netflix, fine, but do we have our own Netflix? That is, do we have a company like Netflix that is Nigerian owned or African owned? Because Netflix is an European, brand organization. So we're still at the mercy, because they will dictate their terms to us. And at times, they even influence the type of films that we make. So like you said, we still have the challenges of funding, because you cannot make at times the kind of films that you want to make, because the funding was not there. Like you said, uh, for example, if you look at the kind of films they're making in America, can we, not that we don't have the knowledge, but we don't have the funding, and we don't have the infrastructure, the studios are not there, and all the technical inputs that you need, they are not there. So we will keep, pushing, and hopefully we won't lag behind as we did in the past. But with this new generation of filmmakers, I hope that obviously they don't have to go through what you and I went through in the 80s. Definitely the times have changed, but we still have a long way to go.
It's not a monopoly, because the other platforms.
For example, TK, can I come in again, TK?
Oh yeah, please.
Hello, TK.
Yes.
Yes. Take for example, you make a movie in America. You can release in, say, about 30, 40 cities on the same day, the same weekend. So over that weekend, the film will have, grossed, the cost of production. But we don't have that yet. So that's what I mean, that, we still have a long way to go. The few cinemas we have are just in the major cities. So those are some of the challenges that we still have. And then, of course, the attitude of government, not that I want government to fund it, it will not work. We have seen the evolution and development of Hollywood and Bollywood. It's always been a private sector driven, but that enabling environment is not there, because government cannot really see beyond their nose. So when they put people in places that manage film, it's usually based on political, decisions. For example, I remember a few years ago during the Jonathan regime, the MD of Nigeria Film Corporation was, somebody that did, building technology or something like that. You now wonder, what kind of contribution somebody like that has to make. But it was patronage. So those such things don't help.
Thank you, Deji.
Yes.
Other platforms exist. Showmax, for instance, is now common stream, and Amazon Prime also is there, and others are coming in as well. So that spells, something great for our industry. So I think let's quickly look at any questions that we have. I think we are now in question. I think we are going to question 4 now. So 4 or 5. Let's jump to question 5. No. That's not the one. The next one. What advice will you give to young filmmakers looking to enter Nollywood? What advice would you want to give young ones? Deji, did you hear me?
Yeah, well, yes. For me, I think the most important thing is, one, to be educated, get proper education. Yes, like you said, we have all kinds of institutions, that have sprung up. But from my experience, as a lecturer, a lot of the students, they want to cut corners. They believe that if I do a 6-month course, I'm good to go. Of course, definitely that is not enough. Then, so they need to have proper education, and then of course the filmmaking. There's more to it than just being able to handle the camera. It's for me, it's a profession, just like you go to study law or medicine, and until people see it like that, because in every sphere of life, they always say that the biggest asset that you have is the human asset. So that human asset, we don't really have, enough of it yet, at least not in terms of quality yet. So it is very important that people are well educated. They want to come into, this industry, and then that the commitment, the people just see it now as a business, just want to make money. They don't have the passion of a TK who wants to tell a story.
No, I want to make money. No, I want to make money too now,
Yes, of course. But at the same time, you will not touch a story that you not believe in, or it's not, it doesn't, important to you. So that's what I mean. Yes, it is important that you tell a story that can, make it at the box office. But at the same time, I don't think, you should completely compromise that because you want to make money. Of course, if you don't make money, how do you make your next film?
Yes,
So
I agree with you. I think I
it's
should
like a balancing act.
Yes, you have already advised sort of a good general education, university, whatever you can, how far you can go. You will need everything. You need to continue to read. You have to read. And then more importantly,
Yes,
you have to be prepared to invest your time and money. This is going to be a long haul. It's not a quick fix. You understand? You have to be dedicated and consistently work at it, for a number of years before perhaps you should try to join Nollywood. Today, you have opportunity to express yourself, maybe start, a YouTube channel, and then use whatever you can lay your hands on. The game is to practice and leverage on the technology. Concentrate and use the technology positively. You can continue learning every day. It's going to last you a lifetime. So chances are that if you start with small, short things and you do it well, chances are you get the opportunity to go into Nollywood. Maybe most of you will not even go to the cinema because smart kids who know the technology and are using it positively are already making a living entirely on YouTube. So you must be prepared to engage the technology that comes along in any form. You must be on your toes and seize the advantage and be positive, for God's sake. No, all those Yahoo things and all. No, if you are committed and you watch movies and you read well, chances are that you are just going to go great. Okay, so we have spent over 1 hour at this, and Deji, I think we should call it a day, but not like that. I think we should put some kind of entertainment into this. I'm going to run one of our early films, Koshigbe. Koshigbe was entirely shot in OA University Ife at that time with the greats. Of course, Akim Shola was still alive, Faleti was alive, Ladi Adiwale was alive, and all of these things. So it's given me a pleasure, and I want to thank you, our amazing audience, for this opportunity to engage with you. And this is going to be regular, and please subscribe and turn on your notifications to get latest updates of where we're going to be up to. So on behalf of our team, Kayode and Sele and Neni, I want to, all those who have helped us, teamed us to make this a success, I thank you all. And above all, I thank you, amazing audience, for your engagement and patience, and see you next time. Deji, thank you for short notice and all. So I think we did manage to go on at all. And when you were talking about what are the challenges of Nigeria, first of all, people will surprise the whole world, because for a country that could not produce steady electricity should not have been making films. But trust Nigerians, we will make our own sun, and continue. In spite of it all, we have managed to put Nigeria on the map. We have managed to give our country a brand. Our filmmakers and creatives are representing us outside the country globally. So they have seen nothing yet. We started from bottom of the ladder and we are going straight up. Never mind what we are going through at this time. The interesting thing is we are still managing our life, and everybody is just going on strong. So I want to thank you. Good night, everybody. Deji, thank you for coming on the stream. So I will show perhaps 15 minutes of Koshigbe. Please enjoy it.
Ọmọ Oníkòyí, Ìkòyí ẹ̀ṣọ́ mi pélé mọ́ lójú ogun.
Mo ní kó ṣe gbé.
èmi ò lọ́rù bẹ̀yẹn tèmi. À ń dọ́gbọ́n jayé wọ́n ló lè là ń jà. Ṣé owó oṣù tó jẹ ìwọ lọ kó padà wá kó wá fún mi lábọ̀.
Kò burú ó dàbọ̀.
Wo kó fetí ti gbogbo kọ́lọ̀kọ́tà tó ń sọ lọ́wọ́.
Mo kí gbogbo yín lọ́kùnrin àti lóbìnrin. Mo kí ọ̀gá àgbà ilé iṣẹ́ ìwé ìròyìn. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin oníwé ìròyìn. Iṣẹ́ tèmi ni láti fi ọ̀gbẹ́ni Ọláwálé Mákò hàn yín. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Mákò ti ṣe iṣẹ́ fún ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọdún níbi iṣẹ́ oníbodè kí ó tó lọ sí ìlú òyìnbó láti lọ kọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ kún ẹ̀kọ́. Bí ó ṣe ń dé náà nìyí wọ́n sì ti fi jẹ ọ̀gá pátápátá níbi iṣẹ́ oníbodè. Nítorí náà mo ké sí ọ̀gbẹ́ni Ọláwálé Mákò kó sọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀.
Ẹ ṣeun. Lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan nígbésí ayé ọmọ èèyàn tàbí orílẹ̀-èdè àkókò kan á mọ́ dé tá láti ṣe àwọn ìpinnu kan yálà láti ṣe rere kórílẹ̀-èdè wa lè ní lọ síwájú tàbí ká darapọ̀ mọ́ àwọn aṣebi ká lè rí tiwa jẹ. Àwa ṣetán láti ṣe rere. A fẹ́ tún orúkọ iléeṣẹ́ oníbodè wa yìí ṣe. Ìjọba ti wá fún mi lágbára láti ṣe àwọn àtúnṣe àti àyípadà kọ̀ọ̀kan. Ìbá wù mí kẹ́ ẹ farabalẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ díẹ̀ nú ẹ̀. A ti fi kún owó bodè lórí àwọn ẹrù tó ń wọlé. Ẹ dákun ẹ farabalẹ̀ o. A ti yọ arówólò ní ipò oníbodè àgbà.
Ọ̀gá, a ti dá gbèsè. Ọ̀gá.
Ṣé rí i pé omi ń bẹ lámù? Ẹni tá a fi dípò arówólò ní àjẹpẹ́ tó jókòó lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ọ̀tún mi. A tún ti ṣe àwọn ètò míì yóò mọ̀ dé sí ti gbọ̀ yín láìpẹ́ jọjọ. Ṣùgbọ́n ní ìsìn bí ìbéèrè bá wà kí ẹ béèrè lórí àwọn nǹkan tá a ti sọ. Ẹ dákun ààyè ò sí fún mi láti dáhùn ju ìbéèrè méjì péré lọ.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ìbéèrè tèmi ni pé mo fẹ́ mọ̀ kí ni ẹ ó ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ yín kọ̀ọ̀kan tí ó dàbí ẹni pé wọ́n máa ń ran àwọn olè àti àwọn onífàyàwọ́ lọ́wọ́. Orúkọ tèmi ni Akérèkọrò láti ilé iṣẹ́ ìwé ìròyìn Aláròyé.
Ẹ ṣé a ti ṣètò àwọn ọ̀tẹlẹ̀múyẹ́ tí ó mọ̀ fimú fínlẹ̀ láàrin wọn.
Bí mo bá rẹ nìkan lọ́wọ́ tó bá fún mi lẹ́bùn gbà wọ́n níyẹn ò lè. Mi ò ní bá tẹnikẹ́ni jẹ́ àmọ́ kẹ́nikẹ́ni má gbàjẹ́ lẹ́nu mi o. Kẹ́nikẹ́ni má gbàjẹ́ lẹ́nu mi.
Mo wí, mo ti sọ, mo ti wí tẹ́lẹ̀. Arówólò.
Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀?
Mákò ti pa wá. Mákò ti pa wá.
Kí ló dé?
Wọ́n ti gbapò lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀, wọ́n ti gbépò rẹ̀ fàjẹpẹ́.
Ipò mi? Mo jẹ gbèsè. Owó ni mo fi rapò yìí. èmi ni wọ́n rán ẹ sí ni Máko ìmí rírọ̀ ló súlẹ̀ yìí ó sì kó. ń bọ̀ lẹ́ ti rí wèrè tẹ́ fi dọ̀gá tuntun níbi iṣẹ́ yìí ẹ fẹ́ báyé jẹ́ fún wa ni. kọ́bọ̀ àti èrè nínú owó tàfi dúpọ̀ yìí o wọ́n wá gbé ipò mi fún àjẹpẹ́. a ní dákẹ́ síbẹ̀ ẹni bá gbàjẹ́ lẹ́nu ẹni ó ti gbẹ̀mí ẹni.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
bí iṣẹ́ tí ẹ bá bàjẹ́ kò léèwọ̀ ibi kó bàjẹ́ làwa wà àbí kílẹ̀ nínú wí. bẹ́ẹ̀ni kó bàjẹ́ ni òmùgọ̀ ló ń gbà wá ni.
ó jẹ́ pé ẹni tí ìbá ti ṣèyàn tí àwọn yẹn ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹun Máko wá fi aráàlú ẹ̀ sípò ọgbẹ́kejì.
aráàlú ẹ̀ là jẹ́ pẹ́.
òkè odò sísàlẹ̀ odò kí ló fi yàtọ̀ síra wọn aráàlú ẹ̀ ni bí wọ́n ti ń ṣe nìyẹn.
ohun tí mo fẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀ ni pé pàlàpàlà kì í ṣe oúnjẹ àjẹgbé màá fi yé wọn láàrin oṣù mẹ́ta. lóòótọ́ èmi ló sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. màá wá fi yé wọn pé nínú odò adágún ara kan ti lè fọpo bódò bá dàgàdàǹgbà tán odò agbára kan lọ. èmi pàápàá ò ní dákẹ́ mi ò ní dákẹ́ àròkárí máa fi bá ti Máko jẹ́. àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ mi ń kọrin kan ẹ̀yin á kàn máa sọ pé kéèrè gíngín.
alákàn yìí rọra kéèrè jẹgbẹ alákàn yìí rọra kéèrè jẹgbẹ ìwọ́ká èmi ká kéèrè jẹgbẹ ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ kéèrè jẹgbẹ ìpè kan ò parun kéèrè jẹgbẹ tó lágbègbè lébọn òwúrọ̀ ó fi ìjà bó ti gba ẹ̀mí yọ̀mí sá alákàn yìí rọra kéèrè jẹgbẹ.
wo sórí tí mo pè ẹ́ fún n ò fẹ́ kẹ́ ṣe ìròyìn apá kan ó yẹ kẹ́ mọ̀ wípé gbogbo àyípadà tí Máko ṣe láti lè fi àwọn èèyàn tiẹ̀ sípò ni. ǹjẹ́ wọ́n mọ̀ pé ará ìlú ẹ̀ ní àjẹpẹ́.
lóòótọ́.
apápín ni wọ́n fẹ́ máa ṣe wọ́n wá sọ páwa kan ò dáa.
mo fi dá yín lójú pé gbogbo àlàyé tí ẹ ṣe yìí la ó sọ fáyé gbọ́.
a dá fún ẹ ọmọlúwàbí wo má lò kéré gbà fi ṣe owó.
ẹ bá má ṣe ìyọnu.
fi ṣe owó nìṣẹ. fi ṣe owó nìṣẹ.
ẹ ṣe.
o ṣe.
èló lowó tó orí gbà lé nìyẹn Sílífà.
oníranù mà làwọn oníṣẹ́ oṣù yẹn 11,000 péré ni wọ́n rí san.
11,000 péré. ṣé wàá rí báyìí pé ọjà títà kiri yẹn kò pé n ò ní sanwó.
ṣebí mo sọ fún yín mo ní kẹjẹ ká wá orí bíi mélòó kan fà.
orí fífá ó pé ju iṣẹ́ ṣíṣe lọ. Sílífà ṣebí ká kàn sí mi díẹ̀ ni òun mọ̀ pọ́ra ló ń fàbọ̀ sí.
àmọ́jọ́ ń lọ.
má fòyà ṣó tán ṣé méjọ ò fóònù.
rárá o wọn ò fóònù ṣùgbọ́n olóyè sọ pé àwọn ń bọ̀ lọ́la o.
ó ti róòmù ẹ̀dẹ́ nìyẹn ọ̀la yẹn náà ti ẹ̀dá ṣé o mọ̀ pé mi ń bẹ́ ẹnjìníà jáde lálẹ́ yìí màá dẹ̀ ètè jíde láàárọ̀.
àmọ́ èmi náà ń lọ sí patí àwọn elépo yẹn o.
ṣèbí Ṣadé á wà nílé ń gbọ́ Ṣadé.
èmi máa ń gbá disco lọ ń tèmi.
Ṣadé ìwé ẹ̀ ló máa yẹ kó o jókòó kó o máa ka yunifásitì máa le jù bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn lọ.
ẹ má fòyà ṣé bí kíṣà ti pass ni.
ò ní kàwé.
mo kà ó mo ò kà ó màá pass ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ṣadé.
tí ẹ̀gbọ́n náà ọmọ wo ni mo rí pẹ̀lú ẹ láàárọ̀ yìí. ṣebí Sálíù Máko ni ọmọ ọ̀gá oníbodè tuntun yẹn.
àwọn láyé máa lọ́wọ́ wọn báyìí káyà wọ́nà dọ́dọ̀ bàbá ẹ̀ o. àbí báwo.
òótọ́ ni. èyí má fẹ́ fẹ́yàwó ní tiẹ̀ máa ní.
ẹjọ́ yọ̀ọ̀dá ni mo gbé nǹkan kalẹ̀.
Máàmù ìwọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí amòfin kí ló rò pé a lè ṣe nípa àwọn òfin tuntun tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí.
ọ̀rọ̀ òfin gbẹgẹ́ díẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tá a bá fòfin lòfin ṣe òfin tó ju ẹnìkan sẹ́wọ̀n wọn ló tú ẹlòmíì sílẹ̀ tó yọ ọ̀ràn lọ́rùn rẹ̀ àwọn tó wà nídìí ìtumọ̀ òfin ló ṣe pàtàkì tòfin ò nira.
tòfin nira tòfin nira òfin tuntun kọ́ ló sọ owó bodè di ìlọ́po méjì
ẹ̀yin ò nira ṣe bí dípò kó máa wọlé sí àpò ìjọba ó wá sí máa wọlé sápò ìjọ tiwa. ẹ wò gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ òfin yìí ó ṣe pàtàkì ohun tó ṣe pàtàkì ní ìsinmi tí má kó oníkẹ́jẹ́ ká mú gbọ́.
Máko rò ń pé òun lè yí àwọn ètò tá a ti ń lò láti nǹkan bí ọdún mẹ́wàá sẹ́yìn kó ń darú. Owó yìí owó gbogbo wa ni. Jẹ́ kí n jẹ́ ló má yóò dùn. Ojú ọ̀run ti tẹ́yẹ fò láì fara kan ra. Ọwọ́ sì ń kan ọwọ́ o. Ṣùgbọ́n tí Máko bá rò pé òun gbọ́n àwa fi yé pé ọdún mẹ́ta tí léluwé ti ń sáré ẹkú wájú ló máa kílẹ̀ èmi ló sọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
lékè mo jẹ́rìí ẹ̀.
Tí o bá wá gbà lẹ́rọ̀ àwa mú lélẹ̀ fún un. Ṣé ń gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ń báyìí? Ẹ̀yin ọmọ wa dá. Ẹ bọ́ síbí. Ẹ̀pà náà ti ní ráúráú. Ẹ̀pà náà.
àṣàbá.
Ẹ wá gbọ́ ṣé ẹ ti mọ̀ pé òdélé lásìkò yìí mo sì ń fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ wà ní ìmúrasílẹ̀ nígbà gbogbo.
Kò séwu àtàlọ́ àtàbọ̀ kò séwu lọ́rọ̀ tàwa.
Iná orí òní jólé orí òní kún kápẹ́jù níbẹ̀ ẹnu náà ni ó mọ.
Alẹ́ kì í kúkú lẹ́ kọ́mi ejò máa ń tọ́mọ eku ló nira.
Láì fọ̀tá pè láì fọ̀rẹ́ pè pàápàá iṣẹ́ àṣe. Àní kó mọ̀ dà fún ẹnì kankan ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó wá sọ pé níṣẹ́ ló máa dá tiwa rú. Àmúbẹ́rí ni ti láò àmúlàdọ̀ ni ti kan o. Inú ni jẹjẹrẹ ti ń jẹ kí o. Àkúsọ orí nù onítọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀. Àwọn ìbẹ́ni ti bọ́m̀bọ́m mú ẹ̀.
Àgbà tí yóò ayé òkúkú ní parẹ́ ayé ò ní parẹ́. Àwa ò sí ní lọ síbi kankan. Àwọn oníṣẹ́ ìjọba náà máa pàwọ̀dà. Bó bá wá kú kọ́bọ̀ kan nílé yìí, àwa pẹ̀lú wọn lájọ wá náà.
Ìbá ṣe é gbé máa gbé tèmi, àsìkò tí ìbá máa ṣe é gbé. Èmi kú lọ́kọ̀ àkókè wálé, ẹ̀fọn kú lọ́kọ̀ àkókè wálé. Láríkà kò ní ilé àkókè rọ̀kọ̀. Ojú ẹlẹ́kùn, omi dáná, ìlú ẹlẹ́kùn, omi tó wẹ̀rẹ̀. Lẹ́kì ìgbà ẹlẹ́kùn, lẹ́kì abẹ́, bá ọ̀rá kọjú ọ̀fẹ́ wúrà gúnyán. Bá ọ̀rẹ́ ní ìfẹ́ àpàlọ́ ẹni. Tó bá ká ní àkúlẹ̀ wíjọ́, bí ó sì ká ní àmàṣánà lọ. Àbájá oró kẹ̀kẹ́ o, àbájá oró kẹ̀kẹ́ o.
Thank you so much, folks. And that's it for our first live stream. See you on the next live stream. Bye, and God bless you all.